Hi, everybody. Today, we'll continue Chapter 5 Sequences in Python, Lecture 15. I will merge two lectures in one lecture, tuples plus arrays. So, I will teach very fast. So, tuples. What is the tuples? We have in sequence, we have list and tuples. Tuples, similar to list, can store homogeneous or heterogeneous data. But tuples are immutable, means that the elements cannot be changed. We cannot change the elements inside the tuple, but we can change the element inside the list. So the difference for now, the difference between list and tuple are or is, we can, in list we can change the element, but in tuple we cannot change any element. The second option, the second difference is the parentheses in tuples are optional, whereas the brackets in list are obligatory. So in list, when you define a list, you must put brackets. When you define a tuple, no need to put parentheses or brackets or anything, but we must use comma. Example here. Student tuple equal first string, comma, second string, comma, number. Okay, so if we call this variable, it's a tuple between parentheses. The output is between parentheses, but the input is optional. You can put or you cannot put. Okay, it's option for you, but obligatory to put a comma. Okay, so this variable equal one string, comma, anything means this variable is a tuple. So the length of the tuple is 3. Or another student tuple, if I want to put parentheses, I prefer to put it, of course. Okay, put parentheses, and you can put the elements. So the tuple, similar to list. In tuple, we put parentheses, optional, but in list, we must put brackets. So the difference between tuple and list, tuple will be between parentheses, list will be between brackets. The second difference is tuple, we cannot change, it's fixed data. We cannot change the data, whereas in list we can change the data. So if we have one element tuple, how we can define it? One element tuple. We must put a comma to distinguish between a one element tuple and a string or a variable. Example here, t equal between parentheses element e, comma, with comma, it's a one element tuple. But we can use parentheses in string and it's not a tuple. Similar to here, s equal between parentheses a between quotation, single quote or double quote, without comma, it's a string, even you put it in parentheses. That's why parentheses are optional in tuple. So if I call t, so here we have comma. In t, the output is between parentheses, one element a, comma, null element here. Okay? But if I call s, only the output is a, no parentheses here. Here, between t and s, the defining almost the same except one comma here. So comma in tuple is very, very, very important. Okay? Also, between number, t equal 10, comma, t is tuple, one element 10, comma, null, x equal 10, between parentheses, x is a variable integer. It's not a tuple. Okay? So Be careful about tuple. We must put comma. Also, we can accessing tuple elements similar to list. The same. Okay. If we have a tuple here, t equal 5, 6, 20, we can access the first element of the tuple by t index 0, the same as list. T index 0 means first element. We can add two elements, t1 plus t2 equal 26, similar to list. Also, we can make an expression, y equal t0 times 6, it's 30. So we can access the elements inside tuple and the list as the same manner. No difference here. But we cannot change the element in tuple. Tuples are immutable. Immutable cannot change the element. So in list, we can do it. In list, you can put T1 or L1 equal 10. But here, T1 is 6. We cannot modify the element or change the element. Will give us an error. Tuple object does not support item assignment. Okay, it does not support assignment, the equality. Okay. Now, also we can use plus equal augmented assignment statement, similar to list. So here, the plus equal, we can use it in tuple as in list, the same. If you have t equal 5, 6, 20, t2 another tuple equal t, so it's cloning t2 equal 5, 6, 20. Also, t2 equal plus equal 30, 40, 50. Here we have append. We can add a tuple to another tuple. So t2 now equal merge them, concatenation. So here it uses the concatenation, similar to list. Here also append, similar to list. List 1 plus list 2. Sorry. Here we have appending tuples to a list. If you have list 10, 20, 30 is a list, and we want to add or append to this list any tuple, we can do it and convert it to a list. So now 10, 20, 30 plus 40, 50 are a list. So 40, 50 become converted from tuple to a list. So now you can change 40 and 50. Before we cannot change. In the tuple, we cannot change 40, 50. But when it converted to a list, we can change it. So we can append tuple to a list and using plus equal. Okay? But the inverse we cannot. We cannot append a list to a tuple. We cannot append a list to a tuple. Now, tuple may contain mutable object. Mutable object means can change the element. We can change the element. Okay, so like here, tuple can contain a list as element. Example here, can access the list and its element. Can modify elements inside the list, but not inside a tuple. So cannot append the list. So tuple, we cannot append the list. So here's the example. We have tuple here between parentheses, has one string, comma, second string, comma. The third element is a list. We can put a list inside a tuple. Okay, we can put a list inside the tuple. The inverse cannot. When we want to put tuple inside the list, automatically will be converted to a list. But here we can do it. In tuple, we can put a list. If I want to select this list from this tuple, the index is 0, 1, 2. So T2 will be a list. This list can be modified. So if I want to access 60, inside the list, another index will be 0, 1. So here we have T2, the first index for the element of the tuple. The element of the tuple is this list. Then another index 1 to access the second element inside the list, 60. Now, because it is a list inside the tuple, we can change the value of 60 to 100. So we can do T2 1 equal 100, then T2 will be equal 50, 170. Or T will be converted to COM21215 course 50, 170. So if we have element inside the list, inside a tuple is a list, if we have element list or list as element inside the tuple, we can change the value. Okay? Now, the new thing for both, we can unpack any sequence elements, list or tuple or strings or range, by assigning, focus here, by assigning the sequence to a comma separator list of variables, which is me. A value error occurs if the number of variables to the left of the assignment symbol is not identical to the number of the elements in the sequence on the right. It means here, if we have here, we have tuple here, we have tuple. First element is Jabir, comma, second element is a list. Now we have tuple. Now we will use the unpacking sequence. The unpacking sequence, which means I want to rename or assign. I want to assign the first element to be equal variable name, comma, the second element equal to grades. So I can do that. So name, variable name, comma, variable grades equal T. Now, automatically, because we have here two variables to the left, must contains this list or tuple or sequence or whatever here, two elements. T has two elements, Jabir and a list. So automatically the name will be equal to Jabir. We assign the name to the first element and we assign the grades to the second element, which is the list. So we can do that. This is advantage in Python. We cannot do that in C or C++ or Java. So in Python, the advantage, we can unpacking sequence by assigning a new variables, similar to this. Again, if you have tuple or sequence or string, if I want, but here we have condition. The left side, the elements or the variables, the number of variables in the left side must be equal to the number of elements in the right side, else will give us error. So now I want to define two different variables, name comma grades equal to this tuple. Now name will be equal to first element Jabir, grades will be equal to second element is a list. Okay, also we can do it to the string, the same, we can do it to the string. So we have here three variables, C1, C2, C3, character 1, character 2, character 3, equal one string. Yes, yes contains three elements or three characters. Yes contains three characters. We can do that even inside the string. So now if I want to print C1, C2, C3, we'll get Y, E, S. So C1 equal to Y, C2 equal to E, C3 equal to S. And you can add them whatever you want. Okay? So we can assign three variables, three characters in one word, similar to this. This is called unpacking string. Also, we can do it in a list, similar to tuple. N1, N2, N3 equal a list 5, 6, 7. So N1 equal to 5, and 2 equal to 6, and 3 equal to 7. And you can do whatever you want. You can add them now, and 1 plus and 2, you can, okay? So print and 1 and 2 and 3, okay? So we can do it. We can unpack a list. Also, we can unpack a range. A range. Here the range. And 1, and 2, and 3 equal range 20, 31, 5. 20, 31, 5. The first element will be 20, increment by 5. The step here, 5. And the maximum number will be 31 minus 1. So here we have 3 elements, 20 plus 5, 25 plus 5, 35 plus 5, 35 is out of range. So we have only 3 elements, 20, 25, 30. As you can see here, and 1 equal to 20, and 2 equal to 25, and 3 equal to 30. We can unpacking a range or a list or a sequence, any sequence. Okay? Any question here? Good. Also, we have this option, advantage in Python also, we can swapping a value via packing and unpacking statements. We don't have this in C or C++ or Java. Here example, number 1, 99, number 2, 22. I want to switch them. I want number 1 to be 22, number 2 to be 99. I can do it, we can do it using the packing and unpacking system. So number 1, number 2 equal a tuple or a list, tuple or a list, number 2, number 1. So I switch them, okay, here. So automatically number 1 will be equal number 2. So number 1 equal now 22, and number 2 now equal 99. So we can swap 2 variables in one statement, in one line. Whereas in C, C++, Java, we will do it in a 3 line, the swap function, as you remember. The swap function in C, C++, Java, you must do it in a 3 line, 3 statements. In C, you must use the 3 statements, but here, 1 statement, 1 line. This is another advantage of Python. So number 1, number 2 equal between a list or a tuple, number 2, number 1. So we swap them. Okay? Now, we have also built-in function called enumerate. Enumerate function, this is accessing indices and value safely, which is mean. The enumerate function, built-in function in Python, adds counter to an iterable and return it, means return this object. The syntax will be enumerate anything here, iterable, start equals 0. Here, iterable is a sequence or object or tuple or list or range, anything you want called iterable. Okay? It's a sequence or any object, variable, whatever you want. And here, the start equal to 0 is optional. Starts counting from this number. If I want to put start equal to 2, so the first element in the list will be equal to 2. The index will be 2. So, example here. Colors, we have a list. Colors, first element red, orange, yellow. If I want to add for each element its index, I want to add for each element its index. So we can do it like this. List, a function called list, inside a list, enumerate colors, which is mean. When we execute enumerate colors, the output will be 0, red. The first tuple, the output always tuple. Here, the output is always a tuple. So the tuple will be 0 index, red. Tuple contains 2 elements. 0 index, red. Second element will be 1, comma, orange. The third element will be 2, comma, yellow. When we executed inside a list, function list, so the output will be 3 tuples inside a one list. Also, we can put it in a one tuple. We can use a tuple function, the same. Tuple enumerate colors will be the same output, but inside a tuple. Okay? Here inside the list. So, enumerate colors, the output will be inside the list, index, comma, the output will be couple. The output will be a couple. Okay? Okay? The output here, I will correct here, returns couple of index, comma, element. Okay. This is better. Okay. So the output always will be a couple, index and the elements. Here we have another example. If, of course, the same, we can use enumerate in for loop. The same list, red, orange, yellow. For index, value, we have 2 variables here. Index and a value, 2 variables, n, enumerate color. So here, the same as before, it must be 2 variables here, it must contain 2 variables. So n, enumerate. Enumerate, the output always the output of enumerate is a couple. And the couple contains 2 elements. Couple, it always contains 2 elements, whereas tuple contains many elements. So couple is only 2 elements. So enumerate colors, the output will be 2 elements. We have here 2 variables. So we can do that. For index, comma, value, n, enumerate color. So index will be the index of red. Value will be red for the first iteration. The second iteration will be 1, orange, 2, yellow. So we can access the output of enumerate whatever you want via for loop. So we can use enumerate in for loop. Any question? Good. Also, in sequence, we can use data structure. So we can use the data structure inside a sequence or in Python. Now we want to simulating stacks with list. Python does not have a built-in memory stack type, but you can think of a stack as a constrained list, which is mean push and pop. Did you get the data structure course? Guys?
No, still.
Doctor, next semester.
Okay. So you have a course called the data structure course. The data structure course, if we want to play with stacks inside that course, okay, we have something called push and pop. In data structure means we have a list or inside a memory stack. Data structure always the manipulation will be in memory in data structure, okay? So, but in Python, we don't have memory. So we'll use the functionality of the data structure inside the memory using some built-in methods or functions to be considered as data structure. So we have in stack Okay. In next slide, we have an example of that. The push using list method append. Push mean in memory stack. Push mean I want to add an element. Okay. When you define a variable, you add, or when you initialize a variable, you add a variable inside a memory. Okay. So this is called push, which add a new element to the end of the list. This is push. But we want to use append in Python. We don't have push in Python, but we have append method in Python. Pop. The pop in stack, memory stack, we have in Python pop, the same, which no argument, which removes and returns the item at the end of the list. So in a list or inside a memory, if I want to add something, call it push inside a stack, inside a memory. When I want to remove that something, we call it pop. Pop out. Push in, pop out. Push in an item, pop out an item. Add an item, remove an item. Okay? So in Python, we have that, but using append and the pop. In Python, we don't have push command, but we have append, the same. But we have also pop. So example here, in this example, we want to define a stack, last in, first out, LIFO. We will took this in data structure. Last in, first out. Okay? This is the stack, LIFO method. When you put 3 elements, the first element will be at the bottom, the second in the middle, the third in the top. When you want to remove, in LIFO method, you want to remove first out, last in, first out. So the last one will be the first one to be removed. Okay? Then the second, then the third. So this is called LIFO. Last in, first out, or philo, or folly. Okay? So last in, first out. Okay? This is called stack LIFO. We'll talk this in details in another course called data structure course. But here in Python, we can do simple example. Here, we can define a list as called stack, empty list, and I want to append or push a new element inside it. So I can use stack.append red. So now the list stack contains one element red. Also, I can append a green color. So stack.append green. Now the new list will be stack red, green. Also, okay, now I want to remove the green, the last one. So I can use pop function. Here in append, you must add your string, your element. When using append, you must add argument. But when you use pop, no need for argument, because the pop will remove the last element, always the last element. So stack.pop, okay, this will be removed. The green will be removed from the list. So the list will come back to the red element. Also, if I want to stack.pop, the red will be removed. Then the stack will be empty. If I do it again, stack.pop give us error. Okay? So, any question for this? Any question? Any question?
لا دكتور.
Perfect. Good. Good. Now, the new and advanced statement in Python is called list comprehension. List comprehensions means if you have this code, list 1 equal empty. For item in a range 1 to 6, list one dot append item. Here we put push, okay, or append. So we add from 1 to 5, we add 5 elements inside a list. Yes? Clear here? Similar, okay? For item in range 1 to 6, list one dot append item means I want to add to this empty list, number 1, append. Next, 2 append, 3 append, 4, 5, 6 outside, okay? Will be outside the range. So the element from 1 to 5 will be added or appended or added or push to the list, okay? Now, these two lines can be merged in one single line code called list comprehension, which is, sorry, the 3 lines, list 1 equal empty, 4 items, and list 1 dot append. These 3 lines can be merged in one line, which is any variable. List 2 equal, between the brackets, the output, here the output, item, here the output, space, for item in range 1 to 6. We don't put 2 points here. In list comprehensive code, we don't put after 4 2 points. So the output will be the first, no comma, only spaces, only spaces. Item, space, for item in range 1 to 6 means, this means the same, this is 3 lines. This means for item in range 1 to 6, append, add this item. Okay? So we can use this line instead of these 3 lines. Okay? Optional, of course, it's optional. You can do that or that. It's optional. So now list 2 contains 1 to 5. Any question? Good. Or you can use the function list. We have function list inside Python. So list 3 equal list. Only do that. List range 1 to 6. Okay. If you want to use function list, list range 1 to 6, the same. We'll convert this range from 1 to 5 to a list. List function convert the range to a list. Here we have conversion from range to a list. So range will be from 1 to 5 as a list. So we can do that also. We can do using list comprehension or normal method or list comprehension or function list. Okay? Any question here? Good. Two-dimensional list. List can contain other lists as element. This is similar to double subscripted array in C, C++, or Java. List can require 2 indices. To define an element are called two-dimensional list or double indexes or double subscripted list. Similar to array in C, C++, Java. Okay. We can define inside a list 3 another list similar to this. A list inside the list. So will be an array, two-dimensional array. So first element will be row 0. And each element inside the first element is a column. If I want to go here to 75, 77, row 0, column 0, I want to call it as A00. A, the list A, the first element 0, the first index is for row, the second element is for column. So A00 means 75. A01 means 68, and so on. Okay? Okay? If I want to print this array, list inside the list, two-dimensional list, okay, so we can use nested for loop. For row in A, another for loop inside it. For item in a row, Okay. Print item and with space, then print. So we can print out this two-dimensional array. We can use nested for loop for row in A, or we can use enumerate A. Okay? Okay? Okay. So these three slides will be repeated inside the lab number 9 with Hadi. Okay? So Hadi will explain it to you in more details for this because it's revision. Okay? Any question? Any question? Good.